So after I posted my video write-up about the JS Safe challenge from the Google CTF, I got a lot of valuable feedback and some corrections that I think deserve a very quick update video. If you haven't seen that one, this video makes probably not much sense, so check that out first. So let's quickly go through the different points that were raised by viewers. First, I had this theory that weird JavaScript namespacing due to the with statement caused different x values to be passed to the function h. One time it was the function itself, one time it was the parameter, but it turns out I got fooled. Those are not the same characters. The function name x is a regular ASCII x, it is the same character as the x in the hex variable and so forth. But the parameter x is actually a different Unicode. It's a Cyrillic x. Visually, it looks exactly the same, but for the computer, it's like it's a completely different letter, and this is a very different variable. And by searching for that Cyrillic x, you see that the parameter is used in the inner x, but it's not the x outside. What do we learn from that? Let's not always assume JavaScript is effed up. That's actually very logical and probably works in any language exactly like that. The second kind of correction I got was about the cause for the crash. I couldn't really make sense of it and theorized it had to do with some kind of recursive call of toString or something, but it turns out it is in fact triggered by the toString, but crashes for a different, much more logical reason. The source is a regex, it's not a string. You see, it starts and ends in a slash, not quotes. And the C function takes the length of the first parameter a, and a in this case is source, and a regex doesn't have a length. So if you write the loop like this, loop until I is equal to the length of the source, then yeah, that never happens. The length of source is undefined. I will never be undefined. So you have an endless loop that freezes the tab too long and gets killed. Now, if it was written like you usually see a for loop with a less than, then it would not be less than undefined and the loop would never run. So what do we learn here? Read the code more carefully. If I had debugged that properly, I would have understood that better. I actually thought about the regex versus a string for a bit, but mostly because of toString and wondered what kind of effect that could have. And I was also confused by the weird way the loop is written, but I ignored it as a style choice of the author. So I saw all the traces, but I didn't get to the correct conclusion. Shame on me. And another feedback I got was about my comment on namespacing, saying that the let statement binds variables to the block scope and I should use that instead. However, in this case, a var variable will have achieved the same result in terms of not influencing each other. Because var binds to the function scope and h is its own function. However, in principle, there is a difference. Let binds even stronger to a block, so for example inside and outside of a loop. Here's just a quick example to show that var works here as well. So this is basically the skeleton of the JS Safe code to test the variable scoping. We have a function that contains another function and a for loop. The for loop uses a to count up and the function inside here also uses a. I added some console log output to see the value of a. Now, in this base example, a is counted up to 1000, which makes the global value of a 1000, and that is then also still used inside the function h. And setting a in there also influences the a outside. If we now add the var statement, as I suggested in the video, then the scoping would change slightly, separating the a inside of the function h from the other a. So a at this point is obviously undefined, and setting it also doesn't affect the global a. The same result is achieved with using let here, and sure, let is also a good solution. However, if I'm nitpicky, I would argue that in this case we don't want block level separation, we want to separate a based on the function used. In this case, I think var is the better choice. Anyway, I'm not a JavaScript expert. Based on how completely wrong I read and interpreted the code, it's actually a surprise that I was able to solve it. So I guess this is an example that you don't always have to understand everything to solve an issue, as long as you identify the core and approach it systematically. Awesome. Now all confusions I had about this challenge are cleared up. The challenge and the code makes total sense now. Thank you so much for your input. I always appreciate it, even if I get the same comment dozens of times. I always learn from it, and I can't repeat it often enough. I'm so glad that I can put my work out there and not only show something cool to others, but get feedback that helps me to improve as well.